Everybody here?
I'm here.
Probably.
Welcome everyone to the Penn Welcome everyone to the Penn Trafford School Board's business meeting for Monday, April the 15th, tax day. We're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
17.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You coming the 20th?
All right, roll call.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
I mean, Mrs. Ising.
Mrs. Issing.
Yes, here.
Mr. Kachasik.
Here.
Dr. Koshko.
Here.
Mr. Bill Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Dallas Leonard is absent. Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Nemec.
Here.
Mr. Petrucci.
Here.
Mr. Stovar.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Mr. Flego. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting on March the 12th?
Motion. Second. Question.
Question being called for. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Information, Dr. Harris.
Yes, I have a couple of things to report tonight. Tonight we have a little change on our agenda for the calendar. Today we found out that Sunrise is no longer going to be used as a polling place. Due to safety reasons, we've always had concerns with it being open when school's in session. Although our primary, in November, we've always came to school when it had a parent-teacher conference. So when we get to our calendar information, we want to basically take the day off before for parent-teacher conferences and have school on Tuesday. So that doesn't make sense coming on a Monday now, and taking off Tuesday for the conference and come back to Wednesday. That's going to be on the agenda for later. And they will now be voting at the Paintertown Volunteer Fire Department. In addition to that, tonight, if you get a chance after this meeting, if you want to go to a different meeting, the West, through re-imaging our Westmoreland, and they're meeting, the developers from Westmoreland County, and they're actually talking about the comprehensive plan. That's going on from 6 to 8 tonight, so we get done in time, you can go down to the cafeterias. Very interesting meetings going on. And finally, if you were one of the 5,400 who saw Grease this past 2 weekends, we enjoyed the show and got a lot of good praise and things. So I think that's the record number of tickets we've ever had over our 2-week production. And in fact, this past Saturday and Sunday, it was completely sold out. So thanks for all your support. And one last thing, Mrs. Hetrick, Mrs. Manipelli. I think she's Mrs. Manipelli. She is once again having her senior projects. I know many of you attended them last year. She wanted to give this to each board. So this is your invitation of when they're in session. So this is actually for board members.
Sir.
If you get a chance, remember this is a requirement of the graduation. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Harris.
There you go.
Recognition of visitors. Nobody signed up to speak. So we'll move into the rest of the meeting. Treasurer's report. May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report and the high school extracurricular fund report?
So moved. Second.
Question.
Question being called for us to do a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Payment of bills. May I have a motion to approve the payment of bills for the month of April 2018?
Moved.
Second. Question.
Question being called for us to be roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure,
I forgot
Dr.
to announce something very important. What two things? A, we're being taped live, and Mr. Vinton, who's not here, he's actually taping this out of his house. His video department this week just got recognition that they won an Emmy for the best high school broadcast. So it was a great award. And he was waiting for a couple of years now to get the Emmy, and he was very excited. So we received an award on Thursday that he won the Emmy. So I just want to give him a congratulations. So congratulations, Steve. continue with the meeting.
Sure, old business, Mr. Lego.
None this evening, Mr. President.
Mr. Lego, executive session. We did have an executive session prior to this meeting to discuss collective bargaining matters, personnel matters concerning replacement of retirees, and disciplinary matters, confidential student matters. Board also received information regarding school security updates, softball field renovation, and energy savings program update. New business, athletics and extracurricular, Dr. Costo.
I do have a few items, thank you. Move to accept the following resignation. Lisa Konopka, assistant cheerleader, sponsor, district-wide, effective for the 2018-19 season.
Second. Question.
Question being called for. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to approve the following volunteer coach, effective immediately unless otherwise noted. Extracurricular volunteers must have their Act 34, 151, and waivers on file at the administrative building. All coaches, volunteers must have Act 34, 151, and 114 waivers on file with the athletic director. Nicola Ionati, volunteer boys basketball coach.
Good name. Second. Question.
Question being called for. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Nick, did I pronounce that first?
Nigola.
Did you say it?
Nigola.
Nicola, okay. Thank you. Move to employ the following personnel. New employment is contingent upon the receipt of all necessary certifications, documentation, and acceptance of Act 34, 151, and 114 waivers from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Employment is effective from the 2017-18 season unless otherwise noted. Lisa Konopka, cheerleader, sponsor, Trafford Middle School for the 2018-19 season at a salary per negotiated contract. Ashley Temple, spring musical set paint coordinating for the 2017-18 season at a salary of $388.
Second.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That'll be all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Budget and Finance, Mr. Stovall.
There are a couple things tonight, Mr. President. Move to accept and approve the audited financial statements and single audit for the Penn Trafford School District for the 2016-17 school year as submitted by Zelikovsky, Axelrod LLC. A copy of the audit will be filed in the business office.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to award the following bids in accordance with the joint purchasing agreement with the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Number 7 Joint Purchasing Consortium for the 2018-19 school year to the companies with the lowest bid where specifications were met. A copy of the individual awards will be filed in the district's business office. Gasoline and diesel fuel, Gutman Energy, multi-purpose paper, W.B. Mason.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt a resolution approving the 2018-19 proposed budget for the Central Westmoreland Career and Technology Center in the amount of $8,991,397. The anticipated cost to the Penn Trafford School District is $596,000.
Second.
Question.
I have a question now. Mr. Lego, is that about what we paid last year too?
It's actually less than we paid.
Last, I thought it went down because the numbers.
This year was around 540,000.
We have more students this time too,
How
right?
many students is that, Nick?
79, I believe, right?
I think that's correct, yes.
We used to have 71 until Dr. Harris got involved and said, start recruiting a few kids for us. So they're very thankful for that, Mr. Dr. Harris.
I mean, it's a great place to be. I mean, the kids walk out with degrees and jobs.
And make real good money.
Unbelievable. I actually wish we had more kids taking advantage of it.
I got a question.
Can I get a second?
Yes,
Thank you.
Bill Leonard seconded
Oh,
it.
sorry about that. Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then finally, move to approve the Student Services Interagency Agreement with the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Number 7 from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
All right, thank
Second.
you.
Question.
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall. Buildings and Grounds and Safety, Mr. Matarazzo.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'd also like to approve the paving of a new walkway around the high school softball field. The contract will be awarded to J.M. Paving at a cost of $14,300.
Second.
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all, Mr. President. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Matarazzo. Employee Relations, Negotiations, Transportation, Ms. Sissing.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Sissing. Food Service, Mr. Nemec.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move to renew the contract with Aramark for the 2018-19 school year.
Second.
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Nemec. Personnel and Curriculum, Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept the list of additional substitute teachers and support personnel for the month of April 2018.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to employ the following personnel on new employment is contingent upon the receipt of all necessary documentation and acceptance of Act 34, 151, 114 waivers, Commonwealth, Pennsylvania, within 30 days. Manny Bunnell, Alexander Cumberson, Sarah Watt, and Alicia Farrell. Everything else is as listed.
Second.
Question.
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to approve the following leave requests. Amy Mastropolito, Caitlin Reinhardt, Dorothy Sullivan, Brenda Wolfsagle, as listed.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to accept the following resignations. Kimberly Rue, library at McCall Elementary School, effective the end of 17-18 school year. And Edward Chatterton, special education van driver, District 13th, 2018.
Second?
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to approve the resolution of Penn Trafford School District adopting the education, a matter of TT. The resolution will be attached and to become an official part of the meeting minutes.
Second.
Wait a second, we have a question.
Bill? Yeah.
Question?
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to approve the following makeup days for designated on the approved school calendar for change 2017-18 school year. School closed was Wednesday, March 21st. Makeup day was April 3rd.
Second?
Question.
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to authorize administration to request 3 8-hour days and 2 2-hour early dismissal days for Department of Education under Act 30 for 2018-19 school year. The release time will be used for teacher in service, parent conferences, curriculum development, and long-range plans activities.
Second.
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and I have number 8 that is not listed with you, but Dr. Harris just gave this to me. Move to change the Act 80 in Service Day from November 6, 2018 to November 5, 2018. November 6th will be a regular school day.
Second.
Question?
Question being called for. This is a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci. Mr. Matarazzo.
Thank you.
Whoops, sorry. Policy, Public Relations, Legislative Title II.
Still me. Thanks.
Sorry, sir.
I'd like to accept and file the Information Committee meetings from the minutes of March 5th, 2018.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to approve the Student Assistant Program Agreement for the 2018-2019 school year between Penn Trafford School District, the Westmoreland County Drug and Alcohol Commission, Westmoreland County Behavioral Health and Development Service Program. The district agrees to cooperate in the development of the Student Assistance Program initiative in accordance with current Student Assistance Program guidelines of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Also like to move to give final approval to the following board policies, attachments, and administrative regulations. A copy of these policies, attachments, and regulations will become an official part of hazing, reduction of staff, personnel files, intent to give form, and procurement plan, food services.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for, so be roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And also like to move to tentatively approve the following board policy administrative regulations, early graduation, and also the attachment on procurement.
Second.
Question.
Question being called for, so be roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Matarazzo. Taxes, insurance, and census, Mr. Bill Leonard.
I just have a brief, thank you, Mr. President. Working on next year's budget and should have a proposed millage for next meeting. And that'll be all, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Leonard. Solicitor's report, Mr. Michael Brungo.
Nothing to report this evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brungo. PTEA representatives.
Nothing for me.
Thank you, Mr. Ranier. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, the meeting is adjourned at 7:19. Thank you, everybody.
Just for my